In this video, I will show you how to create a lateral tilt in the pelvis and possibly release some grippy lower back muscles. This will complement the earlier video I did where we learned how to do a pelvic tuck and untuck. We'll need a standard height chair. I'm using a low table and blocks on it. So as long as our hips are at 90 degrees to our torso, that's a good height. So if I wanted to show it to you from the side, so we want this to be at least 90 degrees or more than 90 degrees. You will also need two books, hardcover books that are about an inch thick. We will place the books on top of your hard surface and we will sit right on top of the books. Remember those imaginary rays of lights that we were talking about in the previous video coming from your sit bones? Visualize those again and check if they're shining straight down underneath you. Here is what a pelvic tuck looks from the side, just to remind you of this movement. So exhale, tuck, inhale, untuck. Find neutral pelvis, a bit of a curve through the lower back, and the sit bones are right underneath you. The rays of lights are shining straight down. Exhale, tuck. The rest of the spine stays relatively still. Inhale, untuck. Imagine there's something on the top of your head and you're trying not to drop that. So just the shape change in the lower back that happens when you tuck. Inhale, untuck. Tuck. Untuck. Once you've reconnected to your sit bones and those rays of lights are shining straight down, I want you to find two more landmarks on your pelvis. Gently poke around with your fingers on the front of the pelvis and you'll find that two bony protrusions on the front. You can press your fists into them and imagine that these are headlights on your car and we want them to be leveled. Make sure that the feet are under the knees and then we'll take one book out. So let's take the one on the right side and then we'll let the right sit bone slowly release onto your original hard surface. And just notice how the pelvis is slightly off level right now, like headlights on the car, so the one on the right would be lower. Now we'll try to even out the pelvis by pressing into the left sit bone and then release down to the original surface. And then press into the left sit bone, level out the pelvis, and then slowly lower the sit bone on the lower side down. And just notice how that side feels slightly longer. Pushing into the left sit bone, leveling out the pelvis. So the right sit bone will be hovering just above your hard surface and then slowly release down. Keep that awareness around how the pelvis is slightly off balance, off level. The right side is longer than the left. And now we'll add a gentle side stretch to this. So your right hand will go on top of your head. Keep your right sit bone heavy on the surface and then slowly go over to the left side, inviting your ribs to soften into the belly, your elbow to reach up and over. And feel that lengthening from the bottom of your back ribs down to the top rim of your pelvis. Slowly come out of the stretch. Bring your arms down. Push into the left sit bone. See if you can level out the pelvis. The right sit bone is hovering just above and the pelvis is leveled. And then slide the book back under the right side. Let's try it on the left. So first, again, check in if you are right on top of the sit bones. The pelvis is leveled right now, so find those bony landmarks and see that they're leveled. Now make your right sit bone slightly heavier so that the left side will get lighter and will allow you to slide the book from underneath you. So it's hovering, but the pelvis is still leveled, and I will slowly release the left side down to your original hard surface. Pushing into the right sit bone, see if you can level out the pelvis. Make sure you're not tucking under when you're doing it. You're still right on top of the sit bones, so those rays of light are shining down into the floor. Lower down, pushing into the right side, leveling out. If this feels like it's a long distance to travel to the original surface, you can try thinner books, so it's thinner than 1 inch, and that will make it a little bit more accessible. So keep going. Notice if the side feels more challenging to lengthen than your right side. The movement is happening because we're pressing the sit bone that's higher into your book, and that's what's leveling out the pelvis. Try not to do it with the side that's hovering. We're doing it because we're pressing the higher sit bone into the book, and that's what's leveling out the pelvis. Release down. Now we're gonna add that side stretch. Keep your left sit bone on the original hard surface. Place your your left hand onto the top of your head. Your right hand can go onto your left ribs and just invite them to soften down without tucking your pelvis under. Keep the left sit bone heavy on the chair, and now slowly start reaching the elbow up and over, creating that crescent shape through the left side of the torso. Take a couple of slow breaths. See if you can steer the breath into the left side of your rib cage, lengthening from the sit bone all the way up into your elbow. And then on the exhale, come back out. Bring your hands to your pelvis. Press into the right sit bone to level out the pelvis. Okay, headlights are shining straight forward, and now we can get the book and slide it under. Okay, and now the pelvis is leveled. You're on your books. Let's tilt the pelvis back and forth. So tucking, untucking, finding the neutral pelvis. And just notice how your awareness is around the distance between the sit bones, around how your lower back is able to change shape. Use your breath. Exhale on the tuck. Inhale when you untuck. Exhale, tuck. Inhale and untuck. This is the end of the little sequence. You can complement the sequence by massaging your lower back with yoga tune-up balls before and after. So you're placing your balls in a tote against your lower back between your bottom ribs and the top of your pelvis. And then you lean into the wall. Your knees will be slightly bent. Lean into the wall and just shimmy side to side. You can play with how you position the balls to find what feels the best for your lower back. So you go over one side. We're not going over the spine. You stay on one side of the spine. If something feels really grippy, you can pause and try tucking and untucking the pelvis, creating a different kind of pressure, and then switch over to the other side. So placing the balls between the ribs, bottom ribs, and the pelvis. And then going to the wall and side to side again. I hope you enjoyed this little sequence. This is an excellent way to gently build more awareness around your lower back, get it to move a bit more freely, and prime it for your everyday activities as well as your exercise routine.